How will San Antonio boom more than Austin and Houston in 2022? This is Trey with the Caliber Group, broker by Real. We're going to talk about our predictions. In 2022, there have been many articles that have come out recently to say that San Antonio is one of the last cities that haven't had the boom as big as Austin, Houston, Dallas, and a couple other areas in Florida. We're gonna dive right into the predictions. First, let's go over the facts. If you look at the size of San Antonio is 505 square miles. And in the 505 square miles, it has about 1.5 million people. That was according to the census back in 2019. So if you look at the amount of people per square mile, or however you want to do the math, there's a lot of room for growth. And the proximity is the hub in Texas, in my opinion. So you have Austin, which is a straight shot. You have Houston, which is a straight shot. Then you have Dallas just north of Austin. Houston has 669 square miles and has 2.3 million people back in 2019. That number, probably you can add another million with the growth that they've had. San Antonio is kind of close to within 100 or so square miles, but to add another, basically double the population, is gonna be very, very hard. Austin is very different from San Antonio and Houston. Austin has 272 square miles and has a population back in 2019 of 950,000 people. Now, in the past 3 years, it probably had double the growth with all the huge booms, the technology booms, the jobs that came into Austin. So all that to say, San Antonio has the room for growth with 505 square miles and only 1.5 million people. It's going to have and has room for a big boom. Let's talk about the median house price in San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. San Antonio's median house price is $323,000 and has about 7,000 homes for sale right now. That is a good amount of homes for a great price. Now, if you compare it to Houston, Houston has 330,000 house price and it has 11,000 homes for sale. So just by comparison, Houston has a lot more houses for sale and the median house price is a little bit bigger. Now, to bring Austin into it, it's a whole different animal. But Austin has a median house price in December of 2021 at $579,000 and the homes for sale is only 1,700. Zillow is saying that Austin will not have the same boom it had last year, where Zillow was right. It did have a huge boom, a lot of growth, but it's not saying that about this year. So if they were right last year, they may be right this year for San Antonio. So let's talk about the reasons why I think San Antonio, and along with these other mega information companies, are saying that San Antonio is gonna have the huge boom. Let's look at the basics about living in San Antonio. San Antonio has less congestion. These facts that I mentioned before are proof that there's more room for growth, so there's not a lot of congestion. People don't like to sit in traffic for the most part. The access to get around the city is very convenient. If you look at Austin, Austin has basically I-35 and some other highways that go around the city, but it is not as open and spread out as San Antonio. San Antonio has a loop system, which has Loop 1604. You can access the outer side of the city, and an inner loop, which is Loop 410. And you have highways that cut as arteries around the city. So if you're downtown, you can pretty much get anywhere in the city in about 20 minutes from north or south. So getting around isn't too bad. So the growth downtown in San Antonio is regulated. So there's actually a city ordinance in San Antonio that says you can't build certain height, and that is to highlight Hemisphere Plaza, the Tower of America, and all the other infrastructures that San Antonio has built over the years, but they're very meticulous about where these skyscrapers are built. So that will control the population a little bit, and also the commercial real estate that's being developed is going to expand around the city, which gives it not so much of a dense, congested downtown feel. Now, the comparisons with living in Austin, living in San Antonio, and living in Houston is definitely a determining factor. So living in Austin, already mentioned that it's very, very dense. Everything's congested. There's not a lot of square miles to live in if you want to be close to the amenities. Living in Houston, to me, is a little bit too spread out, where you have a lot of different communities, you have a lot of towns and villages around the Houston area, and it is nice to the water, but to me, the humidity is a no-go. I'd rather be a little further inland. Living in San Antonio, you have the best of both worlds. You got the great weather, you don't have as much congestion, and to me, that is the secret formula. And also you have the median house price, which is the lowest of the three cities. According to the San Antonio Board of Realtors and Realtor.com, it is going to have the growth, and as you can see, it's measurable with these facts and predictions, and it's hard not to see that they're gonna be right. This is Trey with the Calvary Group, brokered by Real. Thanks for watching.